Well, if anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
It's a statement that face-palmed an entire campaign. Make no mistake, that moment will go down in history as perhaps the single most incompetent answer in modern politics. We got the latest on the fallout from Kamala officially sinking her own campaign. We got the latest on Democrats absolutely panicking as all the polling swings to Trump. And wait until you hear where Trump is planning to visit for his next rallies. This is going to absolutely blow you away. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you stay sane in these insane times. You know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. I'm practicing my Kamala accents here. Before we dive into the latest Harris campaign train wreck, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsors of this video, and that's the makers of Liver Health Formula. Now, if you're one of the 100 million Americans struggling with the weight gain and loss of energy that comes with a fatty liver, this is an absolutely awesome solution. Liver Health Formula is an all-natural supplement. It contains 12 clinically proven botanicals that help recharge and protect your liver. It's manufactured right here in the good old USA and approved by independent American doctors. And if you click on that link below right now, you can actually try Liver Health Formula, and you're going to get a free bottle of blood sugar formula when you order today. You heard that right, a free bottle of blood sugar formula. So don't let a fatty liver keep you sluggish and inactive. You know, many of you know, this is personal for me. I lost over 60 pounds of late, and I can say it was one of the best decisions I ever made. So now it's your turn. Click on that link below or go to getliverhelp.com/Turley and claim your free bonus gift. That's getliverhelp.com/Turley. Here's the headline from the Hill today. Democrats start to hit the panic button. I wonder why. I thought Kamala was having all these wonderful softball interviews with all these great celebrities. What a way to finish off an amazing, glorious, glitzy campaign. Why on earth would the Democrats hit the panic button? Well, could it be because they're about to lose what they thought was a completely safe Senate seat in Wisconsin? Or maybe it's because Democrat operatives are sounding the alarm in the key swing state of Michigan? Or maybe, just maybe, it's because Harris can't open her freaking mouth without saying something profoundly stupid for all to hear. As you all know by now, Cackles was on with her fellow borderline illiterates at The View yesterday, and she was asked point blank, what would you have done differently over these last 4 years than bumbling Biden has done? And to the utter astonishment of every single Democrat operative in the nation, Cackles Kamala answered nothing. Nothing. The very woman who has these last 3 months been running away from Biden's record ever since she began this comedy of a campaign, she turns around and she completely contradicts that campaign by saying that she could not think of a single thing, not one thing she would have done differently than Biden. In fact, she made it clear, she was part of the decision making. She's now officially Biden 2.0 in an election where the vast majority of the electorate wants to see change. They do not want the status quo. They want something different. Within literally minutes of that disastrous interview on The View, the Trump campaign dropped this ad.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
The president's withdrawal was a complete and utter catastrophe. The images of people hanging off of planes and desperate parents handing their babies over the airport walls to soldiers are seared into our country's collective conscience.
The withdrawal was a catastrophe, in my opinion, and there was an inexcusable lack of accountability and negligence.
prices for everyday things like groceries are still too high. You know it and I know it.
You are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it.
Here's Scott Jennings of CNN on the disastrous fallout from that interview.
I mean, she is running on the slogan of a new way forward. And she said today, we're going to stay on the same path, which is, I think everyone would admit, not a popular path. I mean, Biden has put some handcuffs on her. I mean, he has gone out last week and said, she helped me pass every law. She was part of every decision. I mean, he's making it difficult for her to get any separation. And then she has also, in the last few days, said Biden is totally with it, totally vouched for his mental acuity, and today says, yeah, I can't really think of anything that I would have done differently. This must be very confusing for American voters who must be thinking, then why are you running? Why isn't he running? If he's up to it and you wouldn't change anything, then why is Joe Biden not in this race right now? I thought, but who goes on The View and gets outsmarted, by the way? I mean, this was a total disaster for her today. I think even some of the friendly, non-traditional interviews have not turned out that well, but her contact with the mainstream media, I mean, the 60 Minutes interview, you know, on issue after issue, I think did not really help her campaign. The immigration answers did not help her campaign, you know, answering the question 3 times about whether they made the right decisions on the immigration changes that let the flood of people into the country. So I think the reason they're shying away from it is because often her rhetoric doesn't survive contact with the mainstream media.
Yeah, her rhetoric doesn't survive contact with the mainstream media. He has such a lovely turn of phrase, and it's brilliant analysis. And it's not just the legacy media that's shell-shocked here. It's Biden. Freaking Biden. Biden is doing everything he possibly can to undermine Kamala's candidacy. He's holding press conferences at the exact minute of her public appearances so as to prevent TV coverage of her campaign. He's contradicting her on Ron DeSantis. I think the Florida governor is doing a great job. Biden is undermining Kamala's campaign every step of the way. And to make matters worse, Kamala's helping him. You literally can't make this stuff up. Kamala is actually helping Biden undermine her very own campaign. This is what's got to be driving Kamala's people absolutely crazy. Her own patent stupidity on display for everyone to see ends up actually helping Biden undermine her entire candidacy. She affirms both that Biden is cogent. He's the best Biden ever, to coin the phrase given to us by that frothing freak, Joe Scarborough. Just before the debate, of course, back in June. The best Biden ever. Kamala confirms that Biden is totally fit. He's totally with it. And she can't think of anything, not a single thing that she would have done differently over these last 4 years. So why the hell is she running? Why is she the candidate? If Joe is the best Biden ever, if he's totally up to the job, completely in command, and she can't think of a single thing she would have done differently, not one thing, why is she running? It's almost as if they want to lose at this point. Well, and now, you know, the polling is granting her wish. The polling is starting to implode on her. We're now getting reports that Republican officials, they actually, I know, I don't want to jump the gun here, but I'm just going to report it. Republican officials are basically saying that the election is over. Their own internal polling shows they've got the Sun Belt wrapped up, they've got Arizona and Georgia wrapped up, and they've got Pennsylvania pretty secured. Their numbers show that Trump should win all 3 states well outside the margin, both of error and the margin of fraud. Here's political analyst Mark Halperin on what he's seeing with the state of the race.
I just saw some new private polling today that's very robust private polling. She's in a lot of trouble. Here's how I framed it this morning in my newsletter. The conversation I'm having with Trump people and Democrats with data are extremely bullish on Trump's chances in the last 48 hours. Extremely bullish. You think of the 7 battleground states. Which ones is Harris in danger of losing? I would say Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia. I'm not saying she'll lose all 6, but she's in danger. The only one that the Democrats say she's not in danger of losing is the one I never say the name of because I can't pronounce it, but it's where Las Vegas is, right? You guys agree with me? She could lose any of those 6, right? I mean, she could lose all 7, but Democrats will tell you they're worried about those 6. They're less worried about the 7th. Yeah. I don't know any Trump person who says they're worried about losing any of the 7. They don't know that they don't necessarily think they're the favorite in Michigan and Wisconsin, but they're not worried about losing them. Right. There's not, you don't hear from them, oh my goodness. What you hear is we're moving up. What the 3 of us are hearing, we're moving up in those 2. We're going to win. We're going to win the 3 Sunbelt states, and we're stronger in Pennsylvania than she is. That to me, if the whole thing's about the Electoral College, you take any of the Rust Belt states away from her, it's very difficult for her to win. Very difficult. It's not mathematically impossible, but it probably won't happen if she loses any of them.
Yeah, well, you can take that to the bank. I mean, if she loses any single one of the 3 blue wall states, Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania, it is over. She loses any one of those 3 states, she loses by definition Arizona, she loses Georgia, she loses North Carolina, since all 3 vote to the right of those blue wall states. I mean, there's no coming back from that. And that's why they're in an utter polling panic at this point. Whereas the Trump team, they're freaking elated. They're doing cartwheels. Did you hear? They're holding rallies now in California. They're holding rallies in Colorado. They're holding rallies in freaking Madison Square Garden in New York City. They're literally invading blue states right now, completely rocking Harris back on her heels. And we don't have to look far as to why all the momentum right now is swinging Trump's way. Once again, here's Scott Jennings of CNN.
Let me give you the political reality that we're in right now in October. Sure. Huge majority of the American people believe and know that we have an illegal immigration crisis in this country. Kamala Harris got asked 3 times on national television tonight if it was wrong to change the executive orders the way they did on day 1 that allowed this huge flood of people to come in. She would not address it because she knows how politically damaging it is. There are people all over this country and every political party, and independents too, who know full well that if she becomes the president, we're going to have a permissive immigration structure, even more permissive than we had under Biden. And they believe Donald Trump will crack down on this and that he has the common sense viewpoint that, hey, maybe we don't want violent people in here. No, they don't go down the list and say rapist in, rapist in. They just go down the list and say in. Why don't we know if they've been convicted of a crime in another country? It's broken. He will crack down on it. She will not. And everyone knows it.
It's broken. The entire system is broken. And that's what the vast majority of the nation sees with their very own eyes. Now, of course, if you are a regular to this channel, and if not, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. But if you're a regular, you will know that we already knew this. How did Rush used to say it? We are on the cutting edge of societal evolution here on this channel. What did we just talk about yesterday? A good 24 hours before Scott Jennings said that, we talked about maybe he's watching this channel. We talked about the very interesting article that came out, over like a year ago, 2 years ago, by journalist Alana Newhouse of Tablet Magazine, who described our politics and our society as marred by what she calls brokenism. Brokenism. From Katrina to COVID, or more recently from the fire that engulfed Maui to the flood-ravaged North Carolina, more and more people are recognizing that our public institutions and our government agencies are profoundly dysfunctional. The entirety of our establishment, the legacy media, academia, federal bureaucracy, they are all characterized by an epidemic of stagnation, incompetence, and decay. Everyone sees it. Everyone sees it. And so our politics is realigning increasingly around 2 groups. You have brokenness on the one side, and you have what she calls status quoists on the other. Brokenness, as Scott Jennings just observed there, brokenness believe that a regime is it's gone beyond repair. It can't be reformed. It can't be tinkered with. It has to be completely replaced. And so that's why we need something like the shock therapy, of a Trump or an Elon or an RFK, total outsiders coming in and acting as disruptors in a completely broken, unsalvageable system. But on the other side, you have status quoists. And these are those who know our institutions are broken. They see it. They readily admit it. But status quoists still hope beyond hope that there's enough integrity left in our public institutions to solve the very problems they've created. The problem is that status quoism is becoming harder and harder to sell to more and more of the population. And I believe that is precisely why we're seeing the polls break so dramatically towards Trump in the final weeks of this campaign. And ironically, it's Kamala who's making the best, most articulate case for that break.